If ever a picture said 1,000 words, it's
A few moments later.
as though it will not be a costly one for United.
I'm sure you've watched a lot of drama. You've seen a lot of drama, but this kind of drama, I doubt you've ever watched before, because it was a drama split into two halves. The first 60 minutes, the second 60 minutes. But I dare say the first 70 minutes and the last 50 minutes of pure drama. Pure drama. I don't know. It was an absolute, like, you listen to the interviews of everyone after the game and they just didn't know what happened. Euro is like, it's crazy. I'm not sure he's ever experienced such an atmosphere in his young professional life before. And guess what? We had a lot of young players also on the bench. I'm not sure they've experienced anything like that before. But that is the magic of Old Trafford. That is the magic of the theatre of dreams. Fonseca was dreaming. He was asked, and he was like, I also don't know what happened. It looks like we're jubilating too much at 4-2.
Everybody's in shock. Everybody's in shock.
And I don't know. You know what? Before I bring you Kwame properly, let me tell you, I was somewhere. I didn't watch the game. So I was at mass, it's Catholic, so holy mass and all of that. But I had set my phone, my sofa score somewhere under the pew, just watching the people. When it was 4-2, I just turned the phone, and it was prayer. We were having adoration, so I was praying. But I was having my own prayer request, but guess what? I added Man United to it. Right after adoration, I picked my phone and it's 5-4. I'm like, what happened? What happened? I had to quickly call Kwame. Kwame, what is happening? Is this girl who watch the game and let's have this? Charlie, guys, I don't know. So someone told me that now for the rest of the 3 games that is left, I should go to church. So I'll go. I'll watch. I'll just go to church and pray. Kwame, you watched live.
I lived through every single bloody
Wait,
moment.
I saw your tweet. Don't talk about that tweet. I'll read it. So let me go.
Because I was going to start with a tweet.
You talk about what you want to talk about. Let me look for the tweet.
Almost lost my voice.
What a game, Kwame. What a game.
What we witnessed was the good and the very bad of Manchester United's players, as well as what I say, the very bad of Amorim when it comes to managing a football game, and his eureka moment that could be the making of him as a Manchester United.
I found a tweet. Happy, sad, confused, angry, depressed, elated, over the moon, tired, exhausted, all in a space of 120 minutes. This team will be the absolute end of me. That was Kwame's.
And to buttress that tweet, yeah, these people have me checking my blood pressure. Yeah, like checking my blood pressure every single time. For real. It will be the end of me, to be honest.
For real. See, I also have my blood pressure monitor here. And you know why? Only Manchester United. I posted a tweet that it was good I chose God over Man United, because I would have collapsed.
You would have been finished. If you can tell, I've almost lost my voice because yesterday I was just all over the place. I was like the tweet encapsulates exactly how I felt yesterday. It was just like a roller coaster of emotions all over the place.
Complete roller coaster. You know what? Let's make a quick turnaround, and then let's settle, because the euphoria is still in. And then let's analyze the game. What happened? What did we see? How did it happen? What did we do? What shouldn't we have done? Etc. etc. Here on United and Everything Football. My name is Kwame. I'm here with Kwame and Yako. As usual, going through the ocean, discussing everything that happened in that dramatic 5-4 win over Olympique Lyon, qualifying on 7-6 aggregate, and also preparing to play Athletic Bilbao in the semi-finals of the Europa League. Guess where? The final will be happening at Bilbao. So Bilbao will have their, but we'll talk about that later. Let's put that in the fridge. Let's focus on this.
There's a lot to talk about from yesterday's game.
Remember to
A lot.
subscribe to the channel, also like the videos, and also share your comments with your friends and us below in the comment section. When we come back, I'll give you the answer to last week's or the last episode's question, and then we get into the issues here or United and everything. All right, thank you very much. Welcome back to United and Everything Football. So, Henrik Mkhitaryan, the last time he won the Europa League, had 6 goals. The last time he won the Europa League, had 6 goals. So, that's the answer. Someone wrote 5 goals, but it's not 5 goals, it's 6 goals. We didn't have a lot of you answering because I've given you small warning that don't want to use ChatGPT because I'll catch you. You didn't. Anyway, but the answer is Henrik Mkhitaryan. Kwame, let's get straight into action. At 4-2, when I was seated in church, I was like, sort of disgrace is this? Because I had seen a red card. They had gone a man down. And while they were a man down, they are leading us by 4 goals to 2. Why? What happened? Kwame, what
That's a very good question, because a lot happened yesterday. A lot. I'll start from the very beginning.
Yes.
Old Trafford was lit. That's where we start from. Old Trafford was absolutely lit. You know, before the game, there was this news that a tifo was going to be unveiled at the Sir Alex Ferguson stand. And what an amazing edifice that was. It had our 3 captains who had won our 3 Champions Leagues, the European Cups, on it.
Yeah.
And in the middle, it had Wayne Rooney also lifting the Europa League. That's the only Europa League we won, right on it. With the inscription, never gonna stop. Ole, 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 ola. We are Man United, we're never gonna stop. We've seen it all. We've won it all.
We are Man United and we're never gonna stop. Ole, ole, ole,
With all the fireworks to go with it, the smoke and everything. I've never seen anything like that at Old Trafford before. I mean, I've witnessed Manchester United play huge games in Europe. None was bigger than the semi-final against Barcelona when we won the Champions League. The atmosphere before that was incredible. I also remember Sir Alex Ferguson when he was retiring in 2013. The mosaics of champions, 13-time Premier League champions, it was beautiful. Yesterday, I wouldn't be shocked if I say it matched that, because the atmosphere was lit. Like, if they could do anything to inspire a football team on the football pitch before any important game, they couldn't have done it any better. So the team that lined up was a team that we expected. I think it was the same lineup that started the game against Lyon. Lyon did the same thing as well, started with the same team. So the game got off in the first 15 minutes. I thought we were going to run away with it. The beauty about this podcast is we often bring on esteemed guests who add a lot of spice to what we do say. For the first 15 minutes, it did look like everything I had predicted in terms of it being a walkover was actually going to happen, because we're all over Lyon. We are taking a deserved lead and we're still creating chances, and it looked like it was just going to be a very, very long day for the French side. But I do remember Sicho saying on the episode before that it's supposed to be an easy game. But the problem with Manchester United is you just don't know when the next mistake is going to come. And those mistakes is what led to Lyon coming back into the game. But just to digest the whole of the first half, that first goal was brilliant. All throughout the first half, Manchester United's way forward was the ball over the top from Harry Maguire in defense. You know, the thing is, the setup and then the system, it's supposed to allow the fullbacks to stretch play.
Yeah.
And when the opponent's teams try to take out the fullbacks, what it means is that there are defenders in the middle of the park. There will be spaces, especially in between the centre backs and then their fullbacks.
Yeah.
And what Harry Maguire was doing was playing the ball over the top every single time for especially Bruno Fernandes, who was making those runs in that particular channel, that junction between their fullback, especially the Lyon's left fullback, and Lyon's left centre back. That was the channel. He played it on numerous occasions, and on one of those occasions, Bruno Fernandes found himself in space, played a lovely ball into the box, and Alejandro Garnacho's first touch, sumptuous first touch, right? It literally just opened up the game for us. And instead of doing what Alejandro Garnacho usually does, especially on the left-hand side, he did not go for goal. He cut the ball back at the edge of the box for an on-rushing Ugarte. Ugarte simply tapped the ball into the net. We put Lyon under pressure. Casemiro had a turnover from Tolisso and could easily have put the game to bed in the first 10 minutes. But after 15 minutes, we started losing control. That's the thing about this Manchester United side. There is absolutely no consistency.
It's right to say at that point, Lyon had settled and had
sort of
had acclimatized with the atmosphere, the hostility, and everything, and then decided to play their game.
What I would say is technically, Lyon's players showed more composure and expressed better technical ability compared to our players. What we were killing them with from that 15 minutes ongoing was our transition play, in which you could see the value of Alejandro Garnacho in that system. Even Rasmus Højlund in that first half wasn't as useless as we've seen him on numerous occasions. His hold-up play was better. It even got better in the second half, but we'll get there. But from the 15 minutes mark up until, let's say, around the 33rd minute mark, Lyon had seized control of the game. Tolisso and the others were bossing the game, especially in the midfield. There was one player in our defense who was not having a good time. That was Patrick Dobe, because Ryan Cherki, whom we had berated before this game, was sort of having a field day with him on that side of the pitch. Next to Dogo was Lenny Yoro, who was our outlet when it came to making forests from defense with the ball, carrying the ball into the offensive areas, especially when Lyon were on us. He gave us the sort of release by bravely playing the ball out of the back, right? I think there's the coming of age of Lenny Yoro. You can see a stark improvement in what he was at the start of the season to what we see now. It sort of justifies what the ceiling could be and why we spend so much money on him, because he's not an ordinary talent for an 18, 19-year-old boy. That's not ordinary. That's special. He, together with Dogo, they struggled a bit to hold down Cherki, and that's where the problems were coming from. Lyon had a couple of chances from set pieces and so on. Harry Maguire also made a couple of crucial blocks in the first half. See, Harry Maguire is a huge factor in that first half. Besides playing those balls over the top, he was almost always in the right place when Lyon had a dangerous situation where they could pose some sort of threats to Onana's goal. He protected Onana as much as anybody else in our back four. On the break, like I said, Garnacho was the man who was running the show. But I think what happened was, as the game wore on, it started getting to his head. And we'll get to that in the second half. Just before the end of the half, I thought the game had been put to bed when, once again, Harry Maguire plays an unbelievable ball over the top for, this time, the wing back in Diogo Dalot, who did extremely well to, sort of shake off his man, control the ball, and then put a lovely finish. It came off the left-hand side of the post and went in. That's the beauty of the system when it's working. Your wing backs are supposed to be on the offensive most of the time and to be contributing to goals. Before this podcast, I said on the previous podcast that in this Europa League, we've scored a lot of goals. I didn't know exactly where the goals are going to come from, but I knew the goals are going to come from somewhere. The goals haven't been coming from forwards. We've scored in total 12 goals in the knockout stages, right? And only 2 of those goals have come from forwards, and it's come from one player, Joshua Zexi, who scored in both away ties against Sociedad and against Lyon. All the other 10 goals have come from somewhere else. So we are still managing to score some way, somehow, creating chances some way, somehow in the Europa League competition. It's just unfortunate that now we are reduced to 2 forwards in Garnacho and Højlund, who are supposed to carry us. But unfortunately, they are not doing what they are supposed to do. And I'll get into the Alejandro Garnacho bit in the second half. Because in the second half, I said to myself that we are set up so brilliantly to play the way this team has been constructed to play anyway, where we just soak it all up and just play you on the break. And that's exactly what we're doing in the first 10-15 minutes of the second half. And we should have put the game to bed. Alejandro Garnacho had an unbelievable opportunity when Rasmus Højlund once again held the ball up brilliantly and played the ball over the top and into space for him to run onto. He chopped the defender brilliantly, and I don't know how he did not finish that. And when he did not finish that, he just hit it straight at the goalkeeper. He had the whole goal to aim at, and he missed it. And I said to myself, quietly, we're going to regret this, because this team's psyche and mentality is that once there is any setback or whatsoever,
it spirals, and then
it spirals. And we've seen it too many times not to think it's not going to happen. So I'll just say to myself, if you don't put this game to bed and something goes wrong, we are fucked. And something went wrong. And this is where I have a problem, that it's not just the inexperienced players making mistakes in this Manchester United side. Even the most experienced players are making mistakes. A harmless ball, which was just a harmless spell of possession where we had control of the football.
Yeah.
And we're just trying to play ourselves out of the back. Bruno Fernandes tries to lob the ball over a set of on-Russian Lyon players to Alejandro Garnacho, but some way, somehow, Casemiro thinks the ball is meant for him, but has been overplayed. So lifts his hand to sort of nod the ball over the top so that the ball gets to wherever it's supposed to get to and not get intercepted. A very, very stupid free kick to give away. Stupid. It made no sense. People were just asking, how did you even consider a free kick from that spell of possession? How is that even possible? I couldn't believe what I was seeing. When it happened, I knew inside me, deep down inside me, they were going to get punished. That was around the 70th minute. The free kick is played into the box. Maguire gets his head to the ball. And the second ball, I think it was Dogu who was muscled out of it.
Yeah.
And then Tolisso is left right in the middle of the 6-yard box and knocks the ball into literally, and there was nothing Onana could do about that goal.
Yeah.
And in typical Manchester United fashion, when it comes to this particular squad, this particular team, we've seen it from last season all the way through to this season, that when one thing goes wrong, things go wrong very, very quickly. Lyon were just all over us from that minute. And in a couple of minutes, they had an equalizer. And guess who makes a mistake in that equalizer? A man that I have given a lot of credit for, in Harry Maguire. He ducks. He literally just ducks the ball. The ball is played across the face of goal. It's nodded back by, I think, Lyon's fullback, the former Arsenal kid. And he could Maitland-Niles. He could easily have cleared the ball because it was right on, and he decides that he's going to duck, thinking that the ball is just going to go away so harmlessly. And it goes to another Lyon player on the other side. I think it was Fofana who scored a goal. Fofana who came on.
Yeah.
He was injured for the first leg. He's one of Lyon's most informed players.
Yes, yeah.
And he gets to the end of it, and Onana is late in trying to clear the ball over the line. The ball was over the line before he actually made the save. And even if he did make the save, Maguire again was just caught like a deer in headlights in the middle of the goal as Lacazette just walked past him and tapped the ball into the net. This is Maguire and this is Casemiro, two of the most experienced players who are supposed to stand up as men in that situation. And they were the ones who were making the mistakes. But it comes to an issue of how Manchester United manages games in crisis, because it's not just got to do with the set of players on the football pitch. And that is where I get into the Ruben Amorim bit. I think he himself was also caught like a deer in headlights as to what do I do next, because the next few minutes after, Lyon had completely seized control over the game. And in trying to wrestle the game back, he made a couple of substitutions that I said to myself, no. That was around the 86th minute, getting to the end of the game. It was right to make substitutions, but I think he got the substitutions wrong. He brought on Mason Mount and Menu in what I think were pre-planned substitutions as to what we'll do next in case of anything. But sometimes you have to read the game and know what's going on and who should rather come off. At the time, I felt Alejandro Garnacho was playing hero ball all through. Yeah. There was countless occasions in that second half he could easily have found Rasmus Højlund. But playing off the left-hand side and instead of the right, all he was thinking about was shooting at goal almost every single time and wasting every single opportunity. He is the man who should have been taken off instead of Rasmus Højlund. Because Rasmus Højlund, as much as he wasn't getting shots at goal, he was still holding the ball up and playing others into the game, especially the wing backs in Patrick Dogu, and Diogo Dalot.
Yeah.
The problem was every cutback, literally, he wasn't at the edge of the box to finish them. But his hold-up play in the second half was even better than the first half. And he should have stayed on the football pitch. We needed a targets man at the time.
Yeah.
And then there was no targets. He brought on Mainu to play as a striker. And we've seen this thing before. That's my issue with Ruben Amorim. You've tried it in the Premier League against Crystal Palace, and it didn't work. The game before then, we discovered that Mainu
Can play
is
as a
good
10.
as a number 10. Against Steaua Bucharest, played as a 10. You played him as a false 9 in the second game. It was completely ineffective. And you brought him on to play as a false 9 again. And at that time, honestly, you were not bothered by anything up front because it was just Mainu at the 9, Bruno, and Mason Mount.
Yeah.
No pace, no targets, man. Absolutely nothing. And it was just them dominating us all through.
Yeah.
It was just pathetic at the time. And I was just saying to myself that I was thinking about Mount. Yeah, that was the front three. Fortunately for us, I think a couple of moments later was when Tolisso had a red card. And I just said to myself that, thank God, like this is like supposed to be like our saving grace.
Yes.
Things have gone so bad over the past 20 minutes that God has given us an opportunity to wrestle this game back and win it. Boy, was I wrong.
Yeesh.
And this is why. I was so disappointed in how we're managing the game because of first of all, the changes that the changes had a ripple effect. That you now had a team on the pitch that Lyon could say to themselves, "We are sitting back. All Manchester United is going to do is going to put in crosses because they have wing backs on the football pitch and they're still playing with 3 centre backs." Common sense dictates. I've watched football for a long time. I've watched football for a very, very long time. When teams are playing against 10 men and they're playing at home and you play 3 defenders at the back, you don't need 3 defenders at the back. It's just basic. You don't need 3 defenders at the back. You have to sacrifice one of the defenders at the back for an offensive move, right? But for the first 15 minutes of that second half, of that extra time, he was still playing with 3 defenders at the back. I think what he had done was he hadn't even made that move yet in the first half. The first half, you're just caught. You're just like, didn't know what to do. 3 centre backs still playing his wing backs, still playing Casemiro and Bruno in the middle, with his 2 midfielders and a false 9. No targets, man. We couldn't hold the ball up. And Lyon, despite having less of a man on the football pitch, looked more dangerous with the ball, could still hold on to the ball, and we couldn't even put enough pressure on them to win the football back. And I was saying to myself that, my goodness, the inexperience that I talk about sometimes, it shows all the time. And it was showing so glaringly. Just before the end of the first half of extra time, Lyon take the lead through mistakes from our players again. I've spoken about Casemiro making a mistake. I've spoken about Maguire making a mistake. This time it was the turn of Diogo Dalot. We're just taking turns and making mistakes. Couldn't track down Fofana. And when he eventually did, he makes a tackle that allows the ball to dwindle to Czech, who, credit to him, that was a good finish. A lot of people are blaming Onana for that, but I don't think Onana has anything to do with that. When that ball goes through the legs of defenders, it's always difficult for centre backs. He froze them, literally. And I was saying to myself that how are we down at Old Trafford against a 10-man Lyon side? How is that even possible?
I was so embarrassed.
It should never, ever happen.
So embarrassed.
And it's not like if you had watched the game, assuming you had just walked into the room, having not seen a minute of the football game, not knowing which side is Manchester United and which side is Lyon. For that first 15 minutes of the extra time, you would think that Lyon is probably the team that had an extra man and was probably playing at home. But it was a 10-man Lyon side. That game was not being managed properly at all. We come out in the second half, and it even shows how more fragile and how weak this team can be at times. That then gets a return of Luke Shaw, who, to be fair to him, I was advocating for him to even start the game. The plan for him was to rack up his minutes because he had played 15 minutes against Newcastle and he was supposed to play 30 minutes in this game. But for the fact that Mazraoui had a personal issue that he had to attend to, he also couldn't use Lindelof because Apparently, Lindelof also had a personal issue. A lot of trials and tribulations for Amarim.
All in
So he
one.
had to throw Luke Shaw in. And Luke Shaw makes a stupid, absolutely stupid error. A player of his experience gives away a silly penalty. He should never have gotten it. There were enough men there, but I don't know what got into his head. And he gives it away, and I'm saying it's game over. Like Lacazette sticks the ball into the back of the net, and I think it's done. Like 115 minutes, I'm saying to myself, 4-2 down.
What
How are we
had
going to come back?
2 goals?
But here's where I'd give credit to Ruben Amorim. You know, before the game, he said they asked him about his principles. Why is it that he doesn't want to change his formation when things aren't going well? And he said the previous manager was sacked for a reason. He was brought in with that formation and principle in mind. That's why they made the change. So just changing because of adversity wouldn't send the right message to the players. But today, in the midst of despair, when everything was going wrong, where I'll give him credit for is, you know, the hipsters, they have issues. I call them hipsters, the new modern day coaches. They want to just stick to their principle all the time. Sometimes common sense has to dictate to you that you have to throw those principles away.
Desperate times calls for desperate
times calls for desperate measures. Samuel Lakas, despite the fact that I'm not the biggest fan of him, summed what happened in the last 15 minutes with Amorim perfectly. I'm sure you probably see the tweet. He said it was a throwback to the United of old, the good old days, where sometimes systems, principles, tactics, and everything is thrown completely out of the window.
Yeah.
And you simply just have to go for broke. Because this is what happened. I think he had brought on Ericsson into the game and also brought on Harry Amas, right? And he played Harry Maguire. He just asked Harry Maguire to get into the box. But it wasn't just Harry Maguire, because I'd watched the last 15 minutes again just to be very sure exactly what happened. This was the formation we ended the game with after we had considered the fourth goal. It was Harry Amas as the left back, not a left wing back, left back. Diogo Dalot as the right back. Lenny Euro and Luke Shaw as centre backs. Went to a 4. First time in God knows how long. The only time you can trace us going back to a 4 was probably the last 10 minutes of the game against Forest, where he asked Harry Maguire to also go for it.
So that he's textable.
But this time the difference was he brought Christian Eriksen to play with Bruno Fernandes in the middle of the park and asked Carlos Casemiro and Harry Maguire to go up top as a front two, allowing Menu and Mason Mount to play as the 10s behind them. So now Manchester United had 2 targets meant to aim crosses at. Because all we're doing was throwing in the crosses from Luke Shaw, from Harry Amas, from Diogo Dalot, from Bruno Fernandes, wherever he found himself on the left or the right. We're just putting in the crosses. And in one of those crosses, I think it was Menu and Casemiro in the same vicinity. The ball lands at the foot of Casemiro and he cleverly wins as a free kick, a penalty, sorry. I talk about Carlos Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes, and Harry Maguire. In a team that is lack of leadership, because that's what we see, that's what most people say, it's the common rhetoric, that this team lacks leadership. 3 of our most experienced players decided in their minds, because at that time it wasn't about tactics anymore, it wasn't about system, about formation.
By the horn.
We are going to win this game for Manchester United by hook or crook. And I start with a hook or crook because that's exactly what Casemiro did. He cleverly won us a penalty there. Cleverly. They checked VAR. He was kicked under his foot. We win a penalty. And Bruno Fernandes, captain, leader, legend, steps up and scores Manchester United's 5,000 to go. 5,000 go at Old Trafford. There could never have been a better player to choose to score that goal than Bruno Fernandes himself. The goalkeeper read the direction, but the power, pace, and precision was absolutely brilliant. And you could hear the roar at Old Trafford because at that moment I'd given up. When that ball went,
the belief.
Around like 114 minutes, just 4 minutes after we had conceded Lacazette's penalty, the belief just started coming. And I said to myself, you know what? Could we do the unthinkable? Could we actually pull this off? We kept just pumping the ball into their box, causing mayhem every single time. And Bruno Fernandes was absolutely brilliant playing deeper. He wasn't playing those hero balls into the box or taking those hero shots. On occasions, he did have a drive at goal when he had to have a drive at goal. But the playmaking, the decision making, the calmness was something to admire. This is a quality player. Whoever found Bruno Fernandes for us, we have to thank him, because without him, I don't know where we would be.
Yeah.
He plays this lovely ball into the box for Casemiro, and I was expecting a 1-2. But what happened was Casemiro just flicked the ball onto Menu's path, and the control from Menu, classy. You know, when Menu played as a 10 and did his thing at Steaua Bucharest, what we did notice about him with his performance and the goal on the day was the close control in the box. You could tell this is somebody who has played as a number 10 before. Like, he knows how to play that role and play to perfection, because the touch, the control, and the finesse reminds me of that finesse goal against Liverpool, right?
Exactly. Well, that same spot.
But this time it had more venom about it. Whipped the ball into the corner, and then it was 2-2 on the 120th minute. And watch whatever commentary that you've watched, be it Arabic commentary, TNT, BBC, whatever commentary. Every single commentator was like in awe and in shock. And before anyone could even settle down, like, you could sit down and settle down, take a breath, and go like, how is the next 5 minutes of added on going to be? Carlos Casemiro plays an unbelievable ball into the box. And the movements, first of all, the composure, the precision of Harry Maguire's Harry Maguire's header into the corner. There was so much certainty with what he was doing that you could have mistaken him for a centre forward. He's a better striker in terms of movement, quality, presence, being a target than any of our two strikers at the football club, which speaks a lot.
Yeah.
He ends the game for us in classic Manchester United fashion. See, throw it all the way back to 1999 for this one. Throw it all the way back, because that was like
that was a classic night.
2 goals in a minute.
Yes.
And seals the game for us, and it's over. I read the statistics at the end of the game, yeah? There was a stat that shows that this is the first time any team, in any football match in European competition ever, that 5 goals have been scored in extra time. Chaos. It's never happened before. And United is the first team that has scored 2 goals in the 120th minute, the last minute of the football game. In 1 minute, we scored 2 goals. And we deservedly won the game, because I thought we came out to win the game. We did what United always do. By the end of the day, we carried the day, and we wholeheartedly deserved it.
We wholeheartedly deserved it. So that's a very good analysis from Kwame. If you follow through the analysis, I'm sure you are just reliving the moment and everything.
The game was played about 6, 7, 8 hours ago, but I think I've done my best to recall as much as I can.
We are recording very early at dawn. I'm up 4:30 a.m. in Ghana.
6:30 here.
Germany, and then we are recording this. But it was absolutely beautiful. But Kwame, there's an elephant in the room, the semi-final. Let's now, what I have realized is that we are rather going away first. Just like
weirdly, strangely, I thought it was to be the other way around.
I think in the semi-final it's been reversed. Even in the Champions League, for instance, like the Arsenal PSG game, I was confused, not knowing. I thought it was Arsenal going to go away first, but it's the other way around. So we still have Old Trafford. We still have a job to go do in Spain, and then come back to Old Trafford to see how best we can finish that. Well, it's going to be an interesting one. It's going to be a game where it reminds me of everything that happened in 2017 under Jose Mourinho. We had to play Celta Vigo in that game. Semi-final.
Won away and then came at home, and I think we drew, yeah?
Yes. Because that time there was the, how do you call
away
it?
Go rule.
So,
no. I think we won away. Marcus Rashford's free kick, and then we drew at home 1-1. So we won 2-1 on aggregate.
We won 2-1 on aggregate. And there was John Guidetti, who could have taken a ball in there to have taken
us. And they would have knocked us out on the away goal.
Yes. And unfortunately, we were able to seal ourselves through.
But Kwame, this rather reminds me of last season's FA Cup.
Against
the whole FA Cup run. No, this is more like against the Liverpool
The Liverpool one. Yeah.
quarterfinal, right?
Yes.
So we are going into our Coventry tie now, and we are
Yes.
hoping that it wouldn't be as dramatic because that Coventry tie was.
Was dramatic. Anyway,
But we got to the final anyway.
go
So
to the
now I'm
final.
not I don't expect us to play brilliantly or
Go
be
and win.
overly dominant. Just win. It's just about winning. And you know what? The coach said something at the end of the game, which
This
is
when you
telling.
get to the semi-final, you have to win.
No, not that. He said we have to throw our league games. We have to play our kids because the Europa League is the most important thing now. So now I'm not going to be overly critical about the next few league games because they don't matter that much.
The criticality also on the
Bruno
Europa.
Fernandes is tired. We are having some niggling injuries. We have to protect the players that we have. We have only 2 forwards fit, hoping to get Amad Diallo 2 fit. This is the semi-finals are the most important games of our season now. The rest don't matter, and I agree with him.
The rest don't matter. So we'll see how it pans out. We'll be here after the game against Wolves. I don't care whatever happens, but please join us.
No. I'm not going to be critical about league games anymore. I'm done. It's all on Europe now. Semi-finals, you have to win it.
Now the coach has seen. I mean, when you see this, you know that there's a bit of hope. There's a bit of we are seeing the light at the tunnel, and I'm sure the coach
He's hoping this would be the turning point for the team, and I think he's hoping as well that it will also be the turning point for him. I was saying it that we have to break barriers. He's broken the barrier now. His first European semi-final. When you get to a semi-final, you have to get to the final and win it.
It has to be I-Red and win it. So we'll see how it pans out. On the other end is Bodo Glimt versus Tottenham Hotspur, but we don't care about that for now. We care about Athletic Bilbao. When we get to the final.
How are Spurs and United 14th and 15th and in the semi-final of an European competition?
You are
crazy,
you have been preaching that the Premier League is stronger than everything in the Europa League. It's nothing to compare to that. This is where we are.
Fair point. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. We'll see you after the game against Wolves to discuss, probably here with a guest to digest and talk a lot more about everything that happened. On the 1st of May, we'll be against Athletic Bilbao. We'll see how it goes in Spain. My name is Kwame. I was here with Kwame. Thank you very much for being a part of the show. We'll see you on the next one. Remember to subscribe, like, and share with your friends. Have a great time. Bye.